Hey everyone, the castle here. About to explain some stuff. All right, so with that said, I've got a bunch of things going on here. I got a bunch of new textures. Most of these new textures just involve the different layers for like existing stuff that you've already kind of seen. But like I have like the proper, the height maps and the normal maps and everything like that for the triplanar materials, which um, yeah, really helps them pop even more than they did before. I think I probably showed some of that yesterday. I got a little bit further as far as also being able to like test this level with the actual in-game character. Now, none of this is built in the actual in-game level editor. All of these objects were placed by hand using the static mesh placement of the Unreal 4 engine, the default editor, if you will. But with that said, now you can kind of get an idea of the scale, like what you'd be looking at, like while you're running around in these hallways and locations filled with this kind of environment. Just how big these bricks actually are, and some of it actually I probably should have been looking at the scale of it a little bit sooner. Now there's still quite a bit more left that I actually want to get done. Um, I'm thinking like at least another week. I got to do another pass as far as like additional props, and then I want to make sure that the additional props have at least a first pass material, something simple on them, even if it's just like a repeating metal texture or something like that for certain like smaller details and such. But yeah, things are definitely moving along at a pretty decent pace. I'm pretty happy with the results so far. It's it definitely feels like kind of old school. I like it. It's kind of weird too, because it's like this kind of pixel art would be really hard to do, um, but it's automatically doing it for me in a lot of cases because a lot of it's just using the normal maps to achieve these certain things. Um, so let's see, what do I have? There's all right. So what do we got here? Um, ability to duplicate, copy prefabs. Basically, there's like stuff that I got to do that's under the hood. Obviously, there's going to have to be a certain point where you can actually apply these materials to the object, and I think I know how I'm going to do it generally now. It might not be the best way to do it, but I think I have it kind of figured out. Choose materials. It involves putting it involves putting material IDs, like multiple material IDs for the top, bottom, and then sides of each object, which just means having to go through and yeah, all meshes set up with additional surface IDs and stuff. So that'll be pretty straightforward. Gun fabs is a little bit in the future, um, but I might actually begin just like putting together like bits and pieces of like gun parts so that people can actually build guns. That'll be kind of interesting because basically what it'll be is a like a check mark on the actual prefab placement thingy. So let me go here. Let me go in the editor. So like if I place a volume for the prefab itself, right? No. Actually, I wanted the volume, not the actual object. All right, that's the prefab volume there. Okay, get rid of that. So what I might do is I might make it so that it's like save prefab or save gun fab. So basically, you drag you get one of these objects and then you increase its size so that you can fit your gun inside of it. And when you're building the gun, it's going to be big. It's going to be like a giant object, right? But then I rescale it down when you're actually using it in game so that it's a view model weapon and stuff like that. But when you're actually building it in the world, um, basically what I want to have is a rough like model that just sort of sits in the middle that you can see that gives you an idea of like where everything should be, like where's the center of the object and everything like that. So you'll see like a sort of like transparent lightly transparent object that looks a little bit like that's something that's roughly in the shape of a gun. And then you just you add the handle and you kind of build the top part, and you can add like a little thing over here, and then you can choose where the brass ejects, like what kind of brass ejects from it, what's the muzzle flash, what kind of muzzle flash, and stuff like that. And all those objects just get placed, in this prefab, and then you click a check mark, which I guess would be like a gun fab check mark or something like that, and then you get like a gun fab instead. Now the difference is a prefab has prefab in the start of the name. A gun fab would just be gun fab, right? So it's like a fabulous gun, and then underscore the name of the gun. And then when you actually put in input like all the stats that you want for the weapon and everything like that, it'll point to the gun fab, and then the gun fab will load when you have the gun. Basically, anyone could just build their own cool looking guns, and they can like have different things. So like, if you give it a target name, you can attach it to certain points on the weapon. By default, all of the points, will all of the pieces will be attached to the where your hand is holding it, the handle of the weapon. But like you can have like moving parts where like I don't know, something when it fires, it maybe there's a part where it moves down like this, and then the brass ejects from the back of it. And stuff like that. Like you do different attachments. So I'm just gonna make it so that every gun kind of just has a bunch of different attachment like points that all kind of animate in a very specific and simplistic way that makes it so that you can choose like the top of the gun like comes back a little bit more than the bottom of the weapon, and or when the shotgun goes like this, you can it cocks, stuff like that. Like it kind of just really basic, but like it just gives you a little bit of freedom in choosing like how the gun actually moves when it's on the camera. Where they'll probably be I'll probably give you objects for where your character's hands will appear. So I guess there'll be like hand objects or something. That whole thing will end up being a whole system in and of itself. I'm getting a bit ahead of myself even just talking about it right now, but that's the general gist of that. So like the gun fabs, and you could just kind of build them that way. And like that right there to me that'll just be fun. That'll just be really fun. And yeah, I can definitely see it working pretty well. Now you can see like in this particular case, like this one object right here. Oh wait, I can't select it because it doesn't exist as an actual object. But you see how the top of it has the wrong material, and you'd want to assign this material to the top of it. So each one of these objects, well, most of these objects that actually have a top or a bottom to them will just have different material IDs assigned, so that you can give the top of it a different looking material depending on what you're dealing with. So yeah, there's a lot of progress being made. Let me actually go through the list though. So ramp tops. So the ramps, like, there'll be like a texture that's going to be like normal mapped like stairs. So you know it'll be the same shape as just like a regular staircase, but I'm gonna use the normal maps and stuff like that to make it look like there's steps, or look like there's some kind of like things that you're actually walking up on. It'll be kind of cool looking. I'm hoping anyway. Um, Make sure that I do another pass on making sure that like all the UVs and stuff like that are fixed. Because if you look at some of this, like there's stuff like this going on, and I'll take a look at that kind of shit. So that uh, there's also this. Looks like there's something. I'll probably try and fix this tonight. I'm not sure what's going on there. It looks like it's repeating or something. I don't know. But yeah, water and slime textures so that you can actually place them into the world and everything like that. Like, now keep in mind, all this stuff is going to appear in Revulsion 1. Like, all of these objects are going to be ported right over to Revulsion 1. Once I get this round of editor functionality in place and everything like that, it's going to be possible to build fully arted out maps in Revulsion using the editor. And that's using all of these new assets, all of this new stuff. And I'm not going to stop there. I want to build a castle set too. So this is like a dark base set, and I'm not done with it yet. but there's also going to be like a a castle set, which is not my name castle. I mean, like a sort of gothic cathedral kind of shit going on. I want to have like a little bit of variation, and that will be like one of the things of the variation. Um, that's the idea anyway. So I mean, as I'm continuing to progress with this, it's going to be a lot more interesting. So slime containers or whatever, those are probably going to be like sort of like big drums that are mostly going to be probably used for like details like where they go up on tops of roofs. They kind of look like a little bit like water towers or something like that, or those wonderful opportunities where you can kind of make the wall go in a little bit, and then you have like a big like a cylindrical object with pipes coming out of it or something like that. Need to have one of those, definitely. Let's see what else we got here. We got that slime vat. Um, oh yeah, the slime containers actually is a little bit different. Those are the ones that like come out of the wall a little bit, and they have like slime inside of them, and there's like a glow coming from them and stuff like that, and they're just like big cylinders that kind of uh, intrude into the space in an interesting visual way. Metal girders, so you can walk on them, kind of like what Hawkins kind of like built using the ceiling thingies. These will be a lot more dense, stuff like that, and you just place them as floor pieces, and then there'll be one that's actually like broken so that you can jump down through it or whatever. Light fixture wall. Yeah, I need a decent number of light fixtures, nothing too crazy. Bars, actual bars, not the weird shit that I got going on right now that looks like some kind of weird glass window thing. I would like actually have like a window with glass and that actually has like a material that makes it look like glass. Pipe supports, round trim, smaller rubble piles, 45-degree pipe, girded multi-floor. Yeah, this is the same thing as up here actually. There you go. I'm not even sure if girded is a word all of a sudden. Draw a line effect for map object with corresponding target and target names. That's a little bit further. I should probably put that and gun fabs over here. One block wide cubby mesh, more pipes, blah blah blah, lots of stuff over here. This is all alright, this is all art stuff. And then I'll probably once I release this version of the editor, man, yeah, like it'll just be time to go to town and like building some like more cool looking level type stuff. I just need to get a decent amount. I actually want to have more variations of different types of rocks. So like I want one rock that's like a mushroom rock where it goes up, kind of like something you'd see in Subnautica or something like that. And let's see what else, what else, what else. I don't know. Um, well, I think that's pretty much that. I think that progress is coming along at a pretty decent pace. Things are definitely moving forward, and this is so much better visually than the old stuff from Revulsion One so far. It's gonna clash so much. It's gonna clash so much because it just looks so much better than the old stuff. Let's see. With that said, though, there's not really. I don't know. I'm trying to think if there's anything else to really mention. I only remember something to talk about at the last minute, like after I'm done recording. But I think I'm pretty much good to go. Oh, actually, there is one last thing. I want to thank you from your support on steemit and Dtube. It has really been fantastic. I'm loving seeing the upvotes. It seems like every time I come back, I look and there's more upvotes. There's more. Um, the posts are getting a lot of attention and everything like that. And I promise, man, like I'm just gonna keep rolling with this, as much as I can. Like, um, I'm already hitting it pretty hard. So I really like to see that those kinds of incentives and everything like that. It feels good. Um, oh yeah, there is kind of a weird thing like I don't want people thinking that I'm deleting topics, but a lot of people will delete their own topics if they get their answers. Um, I guess maybe he just felt it was like a dumb question or something like that, but it really wasn't a dumb question. You know, he felt like the level grind, like you go from one mission to the next, and it felt like it was too much. Now I'm fighting skull level monsters everywhere. BZ Plasma brought up that exact same point, which is one of the reasons why I'm veering away from that. My future models while designing how you go from level to level is going to be that everything levels with you within a range. So it's just like a soft amount. So in other words, if you're level 5 and you just completed the first mission and you jump into level 10 and there's like level 10 monsters running around, in my new system, everything will be like level 6 or something like that. And then you'll more quickly level up because you're fighting tougher stuff, and then you'll get better and better loot. And you should be able to, you know what I mean? But then, like, you won't be able to come back and have everything still be the same level as you. Like, it's within a range. That's how I have it set up. I mean, I can kind of show, um, like if you select the map, you'll see the level range. So the these levels right here, the first Death Spirals mission will range between level 1 and 8, right? And there'll be an option where you can level sync it to your level, so you can force it to be your level no matter what. So if you're like a maxed out level 100 person, who wants to play the level on fucking Revulsion difficulty, you can. But for normal players who are just starting out and they get their hands on Death Spiral missions, uh, it'll range between 1 to 8, and then after level 8, monsters will stop leveling up with you as you keep going. So you'll have to go to the next mission, and that'll have some overlap. It'll be like between 6 and 12, right? And then it'll kind of just keep going in that sort of fashion where you're not going to find yourself in this kind of a situation like was explained here. Low level weapons that have damage penalty, higher level enemies. That's pretty obvious. My problem is that the first mission there was no indication that my weapons were getting insufficient. Yeah, what I really want is not to say like a treadmill, but more like you're just constantly gaining. You know what I mean? And hitting a wall like that isn't good. I'm not happy with that. But there's already so much in place with the first Revulsion that it's a lot harder for me to go back and like start changing that kind of stuff. Which is one of the reasons why I'm working on the sequel. I mean, there's some overlap with the sequel and the original game, but for the most part, like, yeah, a lot of the feedback, I mean, even just little things like making sure that music is always playing and make sure that I actually maybe commission somebody to make unique music for the game. Stuff like that where it's not just like silent most of the time, and like I was trying to go more for like a Dark Souls thing where, there isn't music playing all the time, you just hear some ambience, but that didn't really work. Um Honestly, it would be really cool if it was more like Doom 64 all the time, but going for the kind of game that I want, I don't think people want to be in that kind of environment all the time, because the kind of game that I want to create is a game where you and 8 to 12 of your friends are all like building bases together and stuff. I don't think people want to be in a Doom 64 environment for that long. Uh, it would be kind of, yeah. Selling guns does make sense only when you already pretty much you just need more credits. But yeah, you're probably right, actually. Okay, so anyway, with that said, like, yeah, like, I don't want anyone thinking that I'm deleting stuff. The only topics that I have deleted so far have been my own topics. On that note, I still have yet to get back to testing um, the random world gen functionality to make sure that there isn't some problem with that. Once I am ready with this next patch, I'll probably go for that. Yeah, alright. I think that's pretty much that for this video. I was going to mention something about something else, but it's pointless at this point in time. Maybe I'll bring it up next video or something like that. But it's unrelated to the game, or maybe just make another video. But with that said, I think I'm done with the VOD for Revulsion for now. Yeah, you know, keep in if you like this kind of content, keep it up, keep supporting me because this is just going to continue to grow. Like I'm not stopping, and I am consistently keeping more and more videos out. So, all right. With that said, all right. Let me end this. Let me actually end this.